From the Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia, BetSports Golf so proudly presents the Masters. Hello, friends. 2025 Masters. Let's get it, buddy. What's going on, Andy?
Oh, not much. Just like you said, dying for the tournament to actually start. It's a long week. It's like the week before Christmas for kids. I'm guessing this is pretty similar, where it's like, oh my god, how is it only December 22nd? Same thing. Yeah, dying for it to start. I was just talking to Drew about this too. It's cool. And if you haven't downloaded the app yet, obviously download the Masters app, get that going. But you can watch like practice rounds. And I was.
They got shot length in the practice rounds this year.
Yeah, it's like every other CBS, ESPN, NBC. It's like we might show footage of the final group, but not till 1 p.m. I was just saying that to Drew. I didn't want to shit on NBC right in front of him, but I'm like, some of those terrestrial channels aren't real good at showing all the golf, and the Masters, not resting on its laurels, just keeps adding stuff. Like, yeah, hey, what if we showed you? If we could have shot tracker on like the par 3 contest when the little kids are hitting it. Like little Sammy Spieth shot tracker when he's wailing away.
Yeah, I want to see Poppy McElroy's ball speed. Definitely important to me.
It'll be pretty funny when they get to that, because they're gonna run out of shit they can do eventually, maybe. But it's great. It's awesome. I'm pumped. I got a few bets. I've got a few models built.
Okay.
I don't know what we should do today. I mean, there's so much content out there about the golf. Obviously, check out Ryan's player guide. It isn't just a list of the players and here's how they play. It's a couple paragraphs and usually a data infographic on every one of these golfers. There's a little less than some of the olds and some of the amateurs, but anybody who has a a fighter's chance or has a reasonable chance at being bet for one way or another, he has quite a bit of info. Ron's course preview is extensive this week, going over any changes we've seen in the course the last few years. Among other things, the agronomy, the history, the shots, strokes gained, breakdown for each category and how much they matter. Both free to read, very extensive. Go check those out. And then, if you want to get deeper and deeper, get over onto the rabbit hole where, we'll bring up the course. We'll look at a few things, but you're going to want to probably go deeper than that. I put it in the newsletter this morning. Going to be a couple newsletters this week, obviously. But if you want to get into the rabbit hole, we got an even better one this week. MGM, it's deposit and play $10. I'll give you a whole free year. It's about the best deal I'm going to have all year. Some of these subscription deals aren't as good as they used to be, but MGM is great. So if you sign up, deposit $10, you'll just get a code from them. I have nothing to do with it. So check that out. It's right on the site. If you have questions, use the code BetSportsGolf to sign up, and free year. This is not just available this week. This will be available going forward for a little bit. I don't know how limited it'll be, so take advantage as soon as you can. Like we said, check it out on the site there if you want to get looking into everything. And with that said, let's look at everything. Let's take a look at this course. I see your second tab there is the course page. Maybe you can talk about, the course that everyone knows the best. It's a long one, guys.
That's the thing, right? Is that there was a hurricane that rolled through, but even that seems to have mostly, in terms of like, there's some aesthetics, I think maybe a little different, but in terms of how the golf course is going to play, I don't think it's going to play really any different whatsoever. Weather has typically been a factor here every year. We had a very damp 2023 Masters. We had a very windy and damp on the front end 2024 Masters. Rain yesterday. For the most part, though, I think we're going to get pretty good weather all week. There might be a little touch of rain I saw from your newsletter on Friday that we have to kind of monitor. But in terms of how it's going to play on the weekend, again, you've definitely heard before, sub-air system that is under the grounds here that they can basically manipulate and get this place playing however they want. It can't run the sub-air system while it's raining, which is a part of the problem last year. Like, couldn't really get it baked out like they wanted to early, but any rain that came in yesterday or comes in here, even Friday, they can definitely get that off the course pretty quickly by the time Saturday, Sunday comes around. So I think weather, something to monitor. Obviously, wind can be an issue, but I think we're gonna have better conditions and maybe a little bit firmer and faster than previous years. Andy mentioned long par 72. Scorecard's going to tell you it's 75, 55. It plays longer than that. Anyone that steps on the grounds tells you the thing that jumps out to the most that's not really captured on TV or the elevation changes. You're really hitting down into a valley, at some point coming back up the valley. There's just a lot of subtle elevated greens, even on some of the flatter holes. So and they do a fantastic job mowing the grass and the fairways against the grain to limit the rollout. So multiple reasons it plays longer than the 75, 55 that's on the scorecard. You can see pretty much everything is difficult, even though the rough is short. Greens and reg from the rough, I'll show you in a minute, is like 10% lower than the tour average event. You're going to grip it and rip it off the tee, but it is a difficult place to gain ball striking wise. Not difficult off the tee, but very difficult on approach. You can see that captured here as well. And then everything's difficult around the green. Again, this is a full bag test. It's part of the beauty of this event, right? Not only do we come here every year, whereas the other major championships are on a rotation, it is and I was touching on this on other content this week too. It's also, we don't always play a lot of our great golf in America on the PGA Tour. A lot of our great golf courses aren't hosting PGA Tour events. No offense to Innisbrook or Craig Ranch. I'm sure they'd be fun to play. Minnesota, sorry. But there are better courses in Minnesota that we don't play all the time. It is one of our best courses in the country. Test the full bag. And that's part of why it is another reason it's a great, great test.
It is funny how it works because of just the association with the TPC courses and which courses get used. Because TPC Twin Cities is what, like the 150th best course in Minnesota. I mean, just like Hazeltine's right there.
Yeah.
And even like some of the ones up north are so much nicer. Just, but yeah, this is truly a gem. And I mean, I've told the story, but I talked to a tour pro who got to go there, like a working pro, someone who, manages golf courses around here. And he said, I could have 100 times more guys working for me and 100 times more money. And I could never make a course look like that. He's just like, it's obscene how just perfect everything is. Every blade of grass in the right spot.
Yeah. I think it comes across in the TV as well. It's a hard test. I mean, this is not a place where, especially recently, we have the Zach Johnsons of the world or the Danny Willets in years past. But really, you look at the last, 10, 15 years, top of the board is winning this event. Or not necessarily top of the board betting wise, but elite golfers. Your top 25 players in the world, for the most part, are winning this event. So it is definitely a spot where we get great Sundays because we had a lot of upper tier talent battling it out. And it's really what we want to see. But you can see here some corollary courses if you wanted to take a look at that. Not a part of model building for me this week per se. I think there are different ways to go about it. When you look in terms of the hole breakdown, obviously a lot of red. This is roughly playing, 1.5, sometimes 2 strokes above par from a scoring average standpoint. Your long set of par fours, difficult set of par threes. Got to make some hay on the par fives. Those are all longer too, for the most part, stretching out like 550 plus. So again, long, difficult test of golf. Really, we're I think 545 is our shortest par 5 these days. So, and the par, a lot of par 4s that are pushing, 4.25 or longer. So difficult test, not a lot of birdies to be had out there. You got to hold on. Look, Scotty won at 11 last year. I'll show you this here too. Look, Scotty wins at 11, but even par got you in the top 10. So you just got to hang on, right? You don't have to necessarily, trying to pick winners, but in terms of guys having really good showings, strong finishes, you find yourself inside the top 20, 3 over par last year. So that's typically kind of where we're at. Scotty won at 11, Rahm the year before 12. 10s for Hideki and Scotty in 22 and 21. I think we're kind of right there again, and I think we could be even a little harder conditions this year without the Thursday rain.
Yeah. It's so hard to like make a good case for a lot of guys here. And I said this earlier to someone. It's like start eliminating guys because there's just only so many people who can win.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had not even like Danny Willett was like some bad golfer.
No, and Willett's form, I think he was like top 12 in the world at the time that he won. So like he even doesn't really fit the mold, but in terms of like bombs or surprises. But yeah, you got to come in with some form. You got to be an elite golfer. It's pretty simple.
You know, just putting the cart 10 miles ahead of the horse. You know who I talked myself into yesterday with Cal?
Not Rory.
No,
I know that.
It is a European.
Okay.
They have a major win.
Mm-hmm.
It was here. Spanish.
Okay. A very, very recent win or a longer win?
I'd say it was more like 2017.
Okay. Well, Sergio's playing good golf.
It's a pretty big number for a guy who's kind of playing as good a golf as anyone on Live.
Yeah.
And we talk about how experience matters here and knowing these greens, having a bit of a bomb to your off the drive and
ball striking
having
great.
good hands around the green, good ball speed. Like there was 80s and it's like, we were joking around taking him for one and done at one point. We're like, what if we just throw Sergio out there and everyone's using huge names? I don't know if we'll go that far. No, I'm not doing that. It was a joke, but it's funny because I threw him out and then Cal's like, oh shit. And it's like, Cal has posted an image. It's like, this is a screenshot of a bet. And sure enough, he'd taken him too. So I will have some Sergio exposure. I talked to Drew about this just now too. I said, probably going to take some top continental and top Spanish too, just to, cover him as far as maybe he doesn't actually win, but he plays pretty well. I'd like to make a little money off that, maybe some top 20, but yeah, I like him. And other than that, it's really hard to make a case for guys who are not, in the top 15 names here.
I agree. Some wholesome punch in Sergio, but I'm not going to do that for you now. I mean, I'll let you, again, the number's big. It was even bigger before the Singapore win. It was way out there. But yeah, it's hard to argue the form on Live, which, I don't know, like you'd rather have it than not. Right. So playing really good golf. I just can't get past the absolute atrocity that he's going to wear this week. Those Live fireballs. It's just awful.
Why do we love Jason Day's Malbon, but we can't get behind the red and yellow of the fireballs?
I don't necessarily love all of Jason Day's Malbon stuff, but same thing. Like,
it's funny. You were talking 3M too, and just because someone DM'd me this, 3M just got worse this year. Max Homa just committed.
That's so tough.
That's tough scene for Max.
Max has not made a cut in an event with a cut since last year's Open Championship.
Yeah.
It's not great. I
know I've seen that bandied around the timeline a little. His cut price is kind of pick 'em. I think it was maybe -110, -120 to miss.
Yeah.
Kind of got to think about it. They don't have.
It's hard to miss the cut here, though.
It's so hard to miss the cut, but people do it.
I know.
It's a fact.
That's the challenge. Again, 50 in ties. We talk about a 95 guy field. Now the VJ withdrew. 95 golfers. And you have the previous champs, the couples, Bernhard Longers, Angel Cabrera, fresh out of the clink, 2 clinks, Argentina and Brazil. And then you have the amps, only 5 this year, not a great class of amateurs. So you're basically eliminating that chunk of golfers from like really top 20s contention for sure, even making the cut very, very thin. And then you got this back tier of golfers that, Rafael Campos, like the guy misses the cut at like a 75% clip. He's here. right? Like you got a bunch of these guys that just have no form. They're really not threatening top 20s as well. So you start to get into like building some finishing position bets or some make the cut parlays, which I know people love that I think are really interesting here this week. You'll have a guy that's really surprising that misses a cut. Xander did it 2 years ago, which is surprising. It happens. Rory's missed a cut here with good form. But for the most part, most of the guys you think are going to make the cut are going to be in the weekend. Are going to be here in the weekend. It just doesn't, there's only so many spots to go. So I know Homa's missed the cut number is getting hit, but he was okay on Friday before packing his bags again from Valero. But it's tough. Guys T3 here last year and has just not sniffed the top 20 since. Yeah, it's tough. Golf's hard. What are you gonna do?
Golf is incredibly hard, guys. So
if you go up here to the course metrics, we're not getting a lot. Obviously, we have some strokes gain data from Augusta. We don't get all of the course data from Augusta compared to other PGA Tour events. You get some accuracy numbers here. You see good drive numbers. We get a little bit more on the approach side, just with greens and reg. That's about it. There's more scoring stuff. So it's a little harder, but we know what this course demands. It is, a course that is very, very friendly off the tee. It allows you to go driver heavy. You're going to need some distance to compete, I think, for the most part. You see the greens and reg rate really dipping below PGA Tour average consistently from the rough, even though the rough is an inch to an inch and a half. Greens and reg from the rough is very difficult because, again, these are long approach shots, even though we don't get all the data from it. Shaved runoffs around the green, elevated greens. You need to have some ability to scramble here in particular. A lot of lag putting. Three putt avoidance it matters a ton. You can get into some of this here. You can see three putt basically double the PGA Tour average event, significantly fewer one putts here. So we have some data. We have the data. We have the data that we have. But we don't have all the data. More scoring data than anything else. But birdie or better rate, 5% below a tour average event for the most part last year. So difficult golf course. Like I said, you can very much get yourself into the top 10, top 20 just by shooting even par for the week.
Yeah, just don't make huge mistakes.
Yep.
And you'll read this and people will talk about this, and it's tough because, I don't know, somebody phrased this so much better than how I'm going to put it, but like, especially on the back nine, if you're trying to hit away from the danger, the way the greens are sloped and built and undulated, if you hit away from the danger, you end up with a nasty downhill putt. So you either have to play with fire on your approaches or have untenable putts. And, neither option's good. The only right option is just be perfect. And that's kind of what it takes to win here. You have to play really, really well, scramble your ass off, get out of trouble a few times, and then, find some birdies where you can. There was a good chart somebody put together. I think it was Joe. So one of the guys we know on on golf Twitter it was Scotty's scoring total, just cumulative scores for every hole here at Augusta, and obviously he was like 10 under on all the fives. That's kind of where the scoring is going to happen for the most part. I think that's what it was trying to illustrate. But he had a few holes where he was pretty bad. A guy who's won here multiple times and competed. And there's a couple holes that just, he's over par for his career here on
a number of them for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's even the guys who've had uber success here obviously struggle. So I don't know. It's kind of it's a tough one to model because I think you got to go with eye test and you got to use a little more context with, hey, this guy has some experience. Hey, this guy is playing this well right now. Hey, this guy has done well on some other comp courses. And hey, this number is what this is. Because, if you model it, it's just going to tell you to bet Mike Kim. It's like, hey, here's a guy who, you want a good ball striker, good tee to green guy? He's like, here's a top 10 guy with a huge number. Bet Mike Kim, bet JJ Spawn, bet Corey Connors. Bet all these good ball strikers, all these long approach guys.
It is a spot, to your point, that's a little bit more nuanced. The data through the rabbit hole will lead us there, but also like I tried for the most part in terms of you guys that I bet outright that either you've had a major championship win, or you've at least had some smoke on a Sunday at a major championship. That matters a ton too. Or you just have had some of the reps. Combination of those two things with some past success here at the Masters, I think if you're just oversimplifying your handicap this week, is just it is the most sticky course history spot that we come to for a multitude of reasons. I think that all that goes on in the Masters is a very unique week to kind of figure out and be a part of. Is a difficult test of golf. Having some experience and understanding where to miss. To your point, how you want to play each of the holes, having those reps. Really, what we saw Ludwig last year as a debutant to come in top 2 was kind of wild. We don't really have that very often. He putted his face off. We saw that with Spieth a decade ago. T2, win T2 to start. Really, those kind of like outliers in a way. And for the most part, you kind of need to get your feet wet here. Obviously, Tiger Woods is a different beast, but we know
got his feet wet in that second one.
Yeah, right. So it comes back out and wins. So it's a spot where you had to have maybe had a little bit of taste of a Sunday at a major championship before I really want to consider you for the most part. So obviously, you get some longer numbers, some guys, there's some finishing position bets, but to actually win the golf tournament, I want you to have had some of that. So one and done question. Do I go with a live guy this week or look at Scotty, Rory, Colin? I think that is kind of the first question of how to approach one and done this week. Because again, the live guys are only available for, 3 or 4 events, depending on the guy.
Maybe. Yeah, I know every year we do this. Like, what if they come to agreement and you burned live guys and then suddenly I'm using like Cam Smith at the Wyndham or something?
Not a good course for Cam Smith. Yeah.
Not likely going to happen. But yeah, it is tough. And I think you have to look at who you have left. If you went light on the big names early and you hit on a few wins or high placements and you have a lot of ammo left, you can go with the PGA guys. You can use a big name here, but and also kind of get a feel for where you're sitting in the pool. Are you protecting a lead or are you chasing? If you're chasing, you probably got to get a little more unique. Where maybe it isn't Scotty, Rory, Bryson, Morikawa, Rahm. If you go live, you got to go a little further down the board, or you go with Brooks or Neiman, somebody like that. It's tough to answer this the further we get into the season because it's like, are you trailing or leading? Do you have a lot left? Or if you've gone heavy on big names to start the season? I'm probably going to, do some sort of mix over the majors of live and non-live. I don't think you can just go full live fade and not use any of them. Kind of look at the 4 majors, look at who you think your favorite live player is at all 4 of them, and then kind of build backwards from there. If it's just like, man, I got to use Bryson at, I don't know if I'd do, or who would add Brooks at Quail, maybe. I don't hate that.
Yeah, Bryson's fine for Quail or Oakmont for sure. I don't know. Like, who do you think is going to win the golf tournament? Like, sometimes you oversimplify. I think it's just a good way to start. Do you think it's a live guy? I think it's a good question, a fair question, Rich. And I'm not criticizing because I think it is like the question that everyone has to answer this week.
It's so hard.
Yeah, because it's just you have fewer options for those guys with true win equity on live. So, I'm fine with using Scotty, Rory, Colin if you have him in the bag, or if you think John Rahm's going to go out and win the golf tournament, then I think it's very okay to use John Rahm. Part of Andy's point is, how big's your pool? Where are you sitting in the pool? All those things matter as well. So I think they're all viable. I think mapping it out is hard. It's in pencil. Don't fall in love with what you mapped out in January or even in April for end of the season one and done. But having kind of an idea of where you are going to put some guys, that way you don't waste a guy. That way you don't get in the spot where, I left this guy on the board and he's not playing anywhere. At the end of the season, getting those spots. So mapping it out, I think, matters a ton. Can help too. All right. So you made bets and you modeled. Again, I'm showing Ron's preview here on the page. Ron's preview is free for you this week. Again, you're just not going to find a better preview. Just flat out, like you're not in terms of trying to make some decisions, cross some guys off. Want to dig deeper into some guys here. I think what he does is absolutely fantastic. Good shout out, Ron. Good job. All right, what are you doing? To build some stuff, or you want to tell me about what you bet?
Yeah, so I bet Colin. I'm veering away from the top two. I think that's the other decision. We talked about how tough it is, live versus non-live for one and done. It is Scotty and Rory versus everyone else. Are you betting one of those two? That takes up a big chunk of your capital, I think, for what you're doing. If you're betting one of those two, or God help you both, I think it really limits how much else you can bet.
Yeah, it should. I would think it would. I mean, to each their own. I mean, I'm not in charge of your bank account, but it seems like a not great way to allocate funds. But it is the question to answer. I mean, Scotty, again, going for back-to-back, going for 3 and 4. Jack did that in 65. That's it. Tiger went back-to-back. Tiger never went 3 for 4. That is a massive question. Rory has never come here with better form. He won on 2 tracks that we would not pick Rory to win at, right? Like, he can win everywhere. He's elite, but to win at Pebble, to win at Sawgrass, where you got to keep the club head cover on for the driver, it's just not a spot where we would think Rory would win. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic for both of these guys. I mean, Scotty played kind of his B game leading up to this year, right, with no wins, but still almost won a couple times in this B game. It was just, again, terrifying. So there's reasons to very much like both guys. I mean, Roy's an emotional feeler of a guy. People like that. People don't like it. But I think that's hard when there's so much pressure, so many questions to answer every time you come here. And someone that I think is, really beat himself up from what happened at Pinehurst. Can he figure that out and use it in a way that can propel him forward? Seems like he can based off of early season golf, but 650, 675 is an expensive price to pay to find out if you're right.
Yeah, and I don't know. Those wins this year, they weren't majors, and the pressure wasn't on. And he not only has the drought to think about, and I don't know if Pinehurst is like, it's a little bit of both for me. There's some dichotomy there where it's like, in your head, you have to say, I'm good enough to win a major. I know I am. I basically won a major at Pinehurst. I should have, would have, could have.
He played awesome on Pinehurst.
But honestly, even, what was it, LACC?
Yeah.
He essentially won. He won those. Just somebody played slightly better, and obviously missed a couple putts that are mind-numbing. But at the same time, that has to sit with you too. Like, what if I'm cursed? Just the pressure has to really, really kill you.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I know I joke here. Rory hater. You're not a huge Rory fan per se. I think it would make for compelling TV. I would love to see him win. I'm not going to throw my money behind it. But if I'm going to not win my bets and someone's going to win, I'd be excited to watch Rory. Talked about, I had some Scotty positions. Those were tied to the Duke Blue Devils, who stole my soul on Saturday. And so my Scotty futures are dead. So, had to start from square one and, build the card up from the rubble that was left behind from John Shire and Proctor's ineptitude over the weekend. So that was painful. But yeah, I mean, look, we just saw an event in Houston 2 weeks ago where Scotty and Rory are insane fits. Scotty at Houston is like just finishes in the top 5 every year. Rory go driver heavy and absolutely kill it. They both played really well. They didn't win the golf tournament. So it's not like we're there in the field and like we just have to pick one of them. If we can, there are other really good golfers in the field that have won golf tournaments that both guys were in, and I think we get it again this year. I think we got golfers that are not Rory and Scotty that win this golf tournament. So I did something similar to you, but different. I think we kind of are. I think you do need to swim somewhere, at least one, in the names that are around Scotty and Rory, or I guess the tier behind them. Because I don't think that you should go super far down the board to build the majority of your card. I think you're going to want to have a guy in that next top tier. You took the best guy, I think, on the PGA Tour for that. And I think I took the best guy on Live. I bet John Rahm at 15. Played well enough at Doral for me. Did a good job at throwing up a snowman on the 17th. Kind of keep himself in the mix so people don't think he was as close to the top as he was. But I think just John Rahm playing aggressive, trailing on a tournament that he doesn't care if he comes in third or if he comes in ninth. So, got a little bit aggressive there at the end of Doral. But I don't know. This is a guy that I think hates not being on the PGA Tour, battling against these guys. Everyone's talking Rory and Scotty. Colin, can he get over the hump? What did Ludwig do last year? And no one gives a rip about John Rahm, who took the money and ran. But this is not suddenly
a lot of money.
A lot of money. This is not suddenly not one of the best golfers in the world. Has it all. You can spotted everyone 2 shots on the first hole 2 years ago and won by margin. I think he still has it. I like the number. I wish I would have got a little bit earlier, but I needed some time to see the board. I wasn't trying to jump on early live numbers on Rahm. I wanted to continue to see him play well at Doral, and I think he did. So I think he's got something to show this week. So I like Rahm and his fit for this place.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite get there with the number.
It's fair.
And I understand he's taking this course down, and yeah, that was a hell of a way to start things. But I went with Colin over him, and I ended up with a little bit of Bryson as well.
Okay.
Because
sell me on Bryson.
Bryson is just never. It's always looked like, hey, this should be a good course fit. Then he comes out here and does what he does. I mean, remember that first year where he talked about how this is a par 67 for me.
Yeah, he keeps walking it back like Flea.
And it's like second shot is 5 guys out looking for it in the bushes. Oh, good. I had him for the fall one, I think, when they moved it, because I'd gotten a good number and I had to call Caesars. But are you honoring these? Or because it was like a paper ticket. If it's online, it just disappears and then they send you a message. But it was a paper ticket I placed in a book in Iowa. So it didn't matter, obviously. But I did take him. It's going to happen one of these times. He's going to compete really well because it's a fit. It's a fit. And, we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it at similar courses. He should be fine. He'll be fine. So I know that it's one of the. It's a bomb. He hits the bombs. He is good around the green. We've seen that. He has good enough putting. When he was at his powers, he was one of the best putters in the world when he was winning
1,000%.
consistently. So I just don't understand why he can't quite get it done here.
This is why he can't get it done here.
Yeah.
It's so painful to watch, and I think that there's obviously, they talked about it in the live during Doral when he chili dipped one a pitch that came up short and then rolled into the water. It's and he just starts laughing. It's just so awkward to watch him chip with a club that looks like a 5-iron here, and it's not working for him here. If you look at the last 4 years, and losing 3/4 of a stroke around the green, a full stroke in short game here. And again, I agree. He's a world-class putter. Hasn't happened for him here. I just think last year's 65 in the first round was a fluke. He got the good weather wave. It was soft.
He did.
No win for him. And then he just kind of, 73, 75, 73 when it got harder. Look, the edge off the tee is undeniable, but I worry he's going to miss greens. He's a good iron player. He's not an elite iron player. He's going to be forced to scramble and just hasn't shown the ability to do it here at all. So, I want to find some matchups and go against him this week, to be honest. I think I
just like him. He's my guy.
I get it. He's fun.
I think it's
he's good for the game.
It's a bit of my guy bet too, but
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You look at it and the chipping hasn't happened here. And then, it's looked really good at other spots. He has that. I just don't know what. Obviously, it's tough here. It's tough, and these are fast, firm greens sometimes, and you're in some pretty bad positions. You're going to be out of position a lot. So, yeah, I wish his number was a little bigger. I thought it was going to be. I think it came down, but I have some Bryson, sadly.
Yeah. I have
Bryson
other
and
live.
Sergio, my only live bets.
Yeah, I got another live guy.
Charles Schwartzel.
How about Charles Schwartzel? Unbelievable final round of Doral. I had to like edit my write up because I buried the poor guy. But like, like 600 Doral, it's like no one else is doing anything, and all of a sudden Charles Schwartzel's showing a pulse. I mean, look, if we filter out, I mean, just go total. Look at strokes gains at Augusta National last 5 years. Just again, total strokes gains. Scotty Scheffler's at the top. Cameron Smith is number 2. 42.74 strokes gained total last 5 years.
He's truly is the best fit here. We've seen him do it multiple times. I just don't think his head is in the game. Like,
so his head was not in the game last year at Doral. He withdrew from Doral last year as a warm-up event. T6 here last year. So like,
I think it just happened. He gets here and it's such a good fit and his game's perfect. But it's like watching the rest of his even when he plays well, it's like this guy's kind of lacking the fire. You know what I mean?
He just seems like he's a super chill guy. You know, he's got the hand in the pocket. He's a chill guy. I mean, it's gaining off the tee, not great, right? He can spray it. This is a place you can get away with that a little bit. You know, but in terms of like, this is the anti Bryson around the green and on the greens here, right? Yeah. He's gaining almost 2 strokes on and around the greens. Approach game has been really good here. I mean, these are competitive numbers with top guys on the board. I mean, he's doubling up Rahm from an approach standpoint here over the last 5 years as well. So yeah, I mean, I got a 70-1 on Cam Smith. He's like plus 190 to top 20. I mean, I think that's a fantastic bet. That's kind of all he's done here historically. He's just played some really, really good golf. So Cam Smith's one of my favorites. I think, you know, looking at strokes gained at Augusta, you know, we typically kind of poo-poo course history. I think it really matters this week. And again, the guy that is held off Rory in a major on Sunday where Rory was the favorite, Rory was leading. Everyone wanted Rory to win. And Cam Smith's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to snatch this from you on the back 9 at St. Andrews. So again, we've seen him in the mix here. Those guys checking those boxes for me where like this moment's not too big for you. I'm not worried about Cam Smith, you know, just kind of withering because he's nervous. Yeah. So that's kind of it for me. So that was a big number.
That's the trouble with some of these other names that make sense. Like Sepp Straka makes a lot of sense here. Price maybe could be a little bigger. I think he's taking some bets, but have we seen Sepp Straka in that kind of situation yet?
We did, and it almost went poorly at the Amex. Like he had such a lead, but
I know, but like at a
really tight
big tournament, like competing in a big tournament.
That's what I'm saying. Like he even in a non-big tournament on a Sunday afternoon with a lead, Sepp Straka was a tight. You know, he ended up winning by a little bit, but like it was not an easy watch having that ticket on Sepp and watching him. Like he's making this harder for himself than he needs to. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Having done it in that moment, I think really, really matters. Another guy on this list, right above Cam Smith. It's a small sample, but I mean, Will Zalatoris, if you go into total strokes gained, we only got 12 rounds from Zalatoris because he's not been around and has been injured. And, you know, if you look at where
so good.
Yeah, I mean, look at Zalatoris. He's got 30.54 strokes gained at Augusta in his life. That's like right around where Xander is, and 6 more rounds. Hideki, who's won here, Colin, who people love, and he's played really well here. Like Zalatoris shows up here and has figured out these greens. He's a great lag putter. We always talk about Zalatoris in spots where the number's not going to get too high, like 10 under, 11 under. Like it
is crazy about the lag putting too, because we associate him with his pullback on the putts. Yeah. They moves around. It's like these little 3-4 footers where it gets real squirrely. But when he has a 60 footer, he leaves himself those constantly. Mm-hmm. Like he is very good with 3-putt avoidance. Like it's funny, the 3-putt avoidance isn't when he does 3-putt. It's not because his lag was 12 feet short or 15 feet long.
Correct.
Because he fucks up the three
Right.
somehow.
The approach game is so good. He leaves himself these little 5-footers that he can't make, so he just taps into the second one. So it is part of it. It is tied to it. But yeah, I mean, this list starting here, just looking at, all right, who's played well in majors the last couple of years, who's played well at Augusta. I mean, you can really build a very simple, you don't even have to build a model. You just kind of look and scan some of these names and see, all right, who's popping in Augusta the last 5 years? Who's popping in, majors last 2, last 3? You start to see some names at the top. These two are fascinating to me. Lowry and Fleetwood constantly being kind of right next to each other. A lot of green across the board. Not a lot of holes in their game. Fairly decent course history here. But my guys, they don't win golf tournaments. They're both very, 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 very good golfers, but they just seem to not win golf tournaments.
Not on this side of the pond.
Yeah, and I don't think that they can't. But Shane, and when Shane's playing ahead, we've seen it. It just he doesn't go very well. Tommy loves himself a backdoor no smoke top 3. We got that here last year from him. So in terms of being in the mix on Sunday, what happens there? Those guys that's tough in that price tier for me for those guys. But I mean, finishing position bets, matchups, knock yourself out. But that's a hard sell,
10, baby.
Yeah,
top
for
10,
sure.
Tommy,
knock yourself out. I want to get your thoughts on Xander. Did you give him any consideration? Do you have any thoughts on Xander? Where are you at with that one?
I did. Excuse me. The 20, the price is almost there. Like, there's a couple guys I'm close on. And again, my card is getting too big. But Xander and Hovland are guys I've looked at price. Just at how they've played here, how good they've, been. And, for obviously 2 different reasons. Xander was always kind of an avoid because he had the Tommy factor where it's like, well,
yep.
Xander can't win a big event. Now he has that off his back. He's certainly played very well here in the past. He's played well at everywhere. I mean, he's just an elite golfer. He should be talked about among the Scotties and Rorys. He just is I guess we had the injury. He missed part of the early part of the year and hasn't been perfect. He's grinding his way back, and I don't know. His number's probably a little too big. And then Hovland, same kind of thing, where we had a weird start to the year with the toe and the coach and the swing and all that, but his numbers look pretty damn good too.
Yeah, we're seeing, I see 40s on Hovland. Yeah, I mean, I love him. I'm a massive fan. I hate that I didn't have anything at the Valspar. The around the green stuff makes me a little nervous here.
There's a 50 on him. I just I'm going back and forth with the around the green stuff versus 50 to 1 for an elite golf.
That 50 to 1's big. I don't see that, but yeah, that's domestic's best I'm seeing is 40.
I gotta make sure I'm not looking at like 26 Masters or first round leader.
Yeah, it's a big number. I'm never going to talk anyone off of Hovland, where ball striking is so important. But yeah, that's a big number. While you look for that, I mean, Xander, to me, it's too big of a number. This is a guy that has the entire package. He went off here last year, to your point, at 15, and no one thought he can win a major or a big event. And then if he wins this, he's holding 3 of the 4 major championship titles at the same time. So I get it. The rib injury has not been great. The ball striking in the Valspar, last time we saw him, he had his best approach week ever. Just feels like there's something there. Just the driver's been a little wonky. The short game's been a little wonky. Those are things that I want in like a way bigger sample. So I don't want to get bogged down into 3 event sample of around the green play when this guy's been an elite chipper and putter for the entirety of his career and was part of why he separated last year's. He could really start to, chase speed with the top guys on the board. So yeah, I mean, getting him at 9-10 points higher than last year, I think that's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, it's damn near 24 to 1 here at Bookmaker. I might, again, the card's getting too big. It's getting too big, Noonan. But I kind of like the idea of Xander going for his career slam before Rory.
Correct. He talked about it. They asked him about it yesterday, and he's like, "Is that a thing you're thinking about now?" And he's like, "You guys won't believe me. It was a thing I've been thinking about before I won my first one. Like, I see myself as that kind of player. I feel really good about my game, and I know that I'll have fewer and fewer opportunities. So like, his mindset's there. Like for him to snatch that from Rory, would be pretty interesting. We go to the U.S. Open, and all of a sudden we're talking about, can Xander get there before Rory? That would be fascinating stuff.
Man, what is it? Is it Portrush?
Portrush for the
And
Open.
there's a couple guys.
Yeah.
Brooks would get it.
Mm-hmm.
God, who else? Who else has like PGA and U.S. Open?
Rahm just has Masters and U.S. Open.
Bryson, what's Bryson at?
Bryson just has U.S. Opens.
Just U.S. Opens.
Yeah.
But Bryson wins here, and then he wins at Quail, and then wins at Portrush.
Yeah.
That would be quite the year. Man, his YouTube would blow up.
Yeah. So those are, I mean, to me, like I consider JT as well, but like I'm talking about a guy, I was on JT in his last win at Southern Hills, but he hasn't won since. You get Xander a little bit longer, right? The same price.
Cantley's a great golfer, but he hasn't sniffed it for a while either.
Caves Valley in 2022 against Bryson, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's just, Xander can do it. He's done it recently. Has multiple top twos here, right? He's part of that Tiger crowd that fell apart.
Was that a BMW? What was Caves Valley? I'm trying to even remember what
Caves Valley was a BMW.
Okay.
We're going back there this year. Yep. Yeah, Caves Valley was a BMW. I think that's where we're at again for the BMW. Or I know it's somewhere in the road. It's coming back. Not a great golf course, but yeah, I mean it's been a minute for those guys too. So, I mean, yeah, I want you to have done it. I want you to have done it on Sunday in the major, or been really close here, or have done it here. And Rahm and Xander, especially at the top, check those boxes for me. That makes sense for Colin too, because Colin's very much been in the mix. So I understand why you went there. So you got Colin, you got Brooks. You said you got a bigger card, so we must have another couple here in the next tier.
Colin, Bryson, Xander. I'm adding Xander. It's 24.
I got 24 as well. Yeah, I like it.
Colin, Bryson, Xander, Sergio, 80.
Okay.
And then I'm probably gonna abstain from Hovland at 50, even though I'm close. Bobby Mack, 64-1. Hasn't been there in a couple years, but he played well when he was. He's a lefty. He's playing about as well as anybody. T to green, as far as guys in that range, it's a big number. He modeled well for me. That's a smaller bet, a little bit of a flyer on him and Sergio, but 64-1, Robert McIntyre.
I played Bobby Mack for subscribers like 2 weeks ago, 85. I'd play 60 still. I like that in terms of, he's the only guy that kind of doesn't check the box of like, kind of tasted it a little bit on a Sunday in a major, but you did mention like T23, T12 here, lefties historically at the Masters, their shot shape can fit pretty well here. It's playing really good golf. I mean, I think T11 at Bay Hill, T9 at Sawgrass. The recent form has been really good too. Has the distance, I think he kind of has the full bag. So, he hasn't done it before. I think he's a great finishing position bet. It's like plus 150 to T20. I think that's a really good number, but I'm with you on Bobby Mack, and I'd play numbers still on the board. It's one of my
I like
futures.
him as top Scott too.
Is he the only Scott?
I don't think that's a market.
I don't think it's a market. It typically used to be like, you'd get like Russell Knox, and he's on the Corn Ferry Tour these days. So
I know I'm trying to think of another Scott. It's Woosman.
Marty Laird.
Woosman's Welsh. I don't think he plays anymore.
It's Marty Laird. Marty Laird's the only other guy that occasionally is in the field looking at flags. Yeah, that's it. But none of those guys are here. So
that's kind of crazy. I mean, it's a small country, I guess. Paul Lowry, Sandy Lyle.
Yeah, Sandy Lyle used to be in the field.
I looked up Scottish golfers. Old and young Tom Morris. I was gonna say it's crazy. There's more. There's so many golf courses over there. Yeah, Marty Laird, Russell Knox. Ooh, Connor Syme.
Okay, Never been in the
I
field.
don't think he made the.
No.
He did win the 2019 Turkish Airlines Challenge, the
Hmm.
Challenge Tour.
Great event. Who could forget that one? Yeah. So I'm Rom and Xander at the top. Again, major
Colin
champions. So we're united on Xander. Step down to the next tier, Zalatoris, which I tried to make the case for already. 66 on Willie Z, 70 on Cam Smith, 85 on Bobby Mack. I also in December played a 120 on Akshay, which again, nice CLV. Don't necessarily know that I think Akshay can win this event. I worry about Akshay under pressure on Sunday if that happened to be the case. But played well with the players. Lefty again, can drive it. The short game improvement's been really nice. So I don't think he should be. Shouldn't have been 120. That's why I made the bet. I don't necessarily think I'd be chasing Akshay in the 60s where he is now. If you liked him, I'd consider maybe finishing position bets. But in terms of actual outright in the 60s, not probably a number that I chase. I think you can get Cam Smith and Zalatoris and Bobby Mack in that same range. And those are names that I'd much rather click. You're way too close to Hovland at 50 than to be chasing Akshay at 60, in my opinion. So I would do that as well.
Yeah,
Like Andy's thinking about.
There's an Akshay offshore for 85 if you want to play another lefty.
Okay. Not as bad, but I still would go finishing positions. And 120 was it's a pretty good golfer that could fit and could really start to make the leap. All of a sudden that number can be way shorter, and it is. But we didn't necessarily see the full leap that thought was possible. Still 23 years old, so only his second time around this place.
It's not a course to play bombs, but before we go, somebody over 100 to 1 that you'd play for pizza money. I have one.
Okay, what do you got?
150 to 1,
Mm.
just based on form, playing really well. Mav McNeely.
Yeah, debutante though.
Not
tough.
Not the best course fit, and he's a debutante, but Christ, he's playing good, and that's a big number. So I think there's some debutante markets to be looked at too.
Yeah, I'll give you a bomb that is, I think, on Chris at 246. A little bit deep down the board. His one on the PGA Tour this year
is 171 at Chris. Oof.
My guy's won on the PGA Tour this year. He has won on a long golf course with very difficult scoring conditions. He is from Georgia. He's a former Ryder Cup member. No one is super excited to click on this gentleman's name, but Harris English.
245.
It's a big number for a guy who is come here and played well in the past. Let me see where Harris English, 42, 21, 43, 22, his last 4 appearances here. He's been in the mix. He gets it mostly done on and around the greens, but again, he won at Torrey. Just not going to play himself out. I don't know that he necessarily has a ceiling to win, obviously, but Harris English just being top 20 or in the mix on the weekend, I guess. Not really in the mix, but I don't know. I think you can probably get a nice T30 top 40 number on Harris English, and he's been really close the last couple of years, cracking that top 20. So just I think a good golfer that could play in spots where we don't have to chase out into the mid-teens birdie wise. He's just going to grind some pars and take his chances on the par fives when he gets them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my closing thought, because we're talking about huge bombs that, probably isn't a good idea to play outright. But these guys are good spots for some top 20 bets. Look for some guys who you think look at 3-putt avoidance, look at, the lag putting, look at their trouble avoidance, bogey avoidance, their around the green play. If they can grind and scramble and find tons of pars, they're going to finish 18th. 9 shots off the lead, never sniffing the first, they're never on the graphic, but they're just sitting there in 15th to 25th all weekend at even par. Find some guys like that, put yourself, a top 30 parlay, a top 20 parlay. Don't go too nuts on those. Obviously, only so many guys can Very reverse correlated, and they're not going to give you extra credit for it. So
Correct.
don't go nuts on that. Play a few of those. Find some guys you like. I'll have some bets definitely in the newsletter tomorrow. But I appreciate you talking me into Xander.
I think Xander's a good look. These are also these are good DFS plays. I had 3 of them in that mix. I think English is like 6,500. Another couple guys that are right in that mix that no one's excited to click. They do not have a shot to win this golf tournament. Denny McCarthy is another one his irons have been awesome. Denny's gained at least 0.7 strokes on approach in every event leading up to this year. He's at a distance off the tee and he's an elite putter. Last year made his debut here, so at least he knocked off the cobwebs. Then he's 6,500 in DFS. Lucas Glover
and Spawn, I was going to mention.
Spawn's also a good one. Yeah, Spawn's a little bit more expensive, but Glover T20 last year, T30 the year before. No one wants to play Lucas Glover. He's doesn't hit it far. He's going to play the par 5s probably in 3 shots. T3 at the Players, T8 at the Valspar in his 2 lead-up events. If you look at his average strokes gain summary on his player page, it's just green. He's just playing whatever. He's just playing really good golf. Ball striking is awesome. Again, he's not going to make a ton of mistakes, and he's that exact guy that you're talking about. He's just no one ever knew that Lucas Glover was in the mix. They're not, unless you got him highlighted on your on the app. You probably don't see many golf shots from Lucas Glover for the week, and then next thing you know, he just 25th. And
Lucas Glover is stunt double Scotty Scheffler. He looks a little bit like him. Yeah. Sometimes to
he's
me.
older Scotty.
It's like old stunt double Scotty.
You can see it. Got a little southern draw, a little bit more southern draw than Scotty does. But yeah, those 3 guys I think are just, I don't know, free up a lot for your DFS lineups. And, like you said, finishing position bets. I wouldn't burn chasing triple digits on them to win, but I don't know. Those guys probably be very surprised if they didn't make the weekend. And that's, like I said, the top kind of unique here. Just hard to miss the cut for those guys deep down the board, especially guys that have showed some form this year and have played here in the past. So those 3 are, I think, are interesting names. So, all right. We didn't have the model. We just showed you some data. I think that's pretty good, though. Yeah. Anything else for the people?
No, let's call it. Again, if you want to take advantage of that MGM deal, free year for $10. If you can't get that or you already have an MGM account, your buddy can sign up for an MGM account and do that and literally just give you the code. I don't care. They're just looking for people to sign up. Your girlfriend, your wife, anybody who is of age and in a legal state. If you're not in a legal state, like I said, this is an ongoing thing. If you're traveling to a legal state in a month, 2 months, and you don't have an MGM account, it's a great way to get you a full year membership for $10. So take advantage of that whenever you can. It helps support us. We appreciate that. And another option is Drafters. It can only give you 90 days free for a new Drafters account, but it is better than a sharp stick to the eye. So take a look at that. That's on the site as well. And if you can't get any of that, if you're in one of those states that doesn't allow you to do anything and you never leave your house, we do have promo code Azalea, which is 25% off any subscription this week during the Masters. So appreciate you guys. Hit us with any comments, questions on the Twitter, and I'll see you next week.
Can't wait.